Hey guys, this is Carrie from Tone Wars. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We're really excited to hang out with you and to have you be part of our community. If you like what you see here, here's a couple ways you can support the channel. We always appreciate super chats very much, but here's a couple other ways you can support the channel and get something in return other than just content. If the super chat feature doesn't work for you, or if you're watching after the live stream, Jarrod's PayPal account link is listed below. Any donation of any amount is greatly appreciated. Since the show is sponsored in part by Motor City Guitar, we've included an affiliate link below. By clicking the link below, everybody wins. You're getting a great deal on some awesome equipment, you're supporting a store that has tons of inventory and great customer service, and you're supporting Tone Wars. And on top of all of that, if you live outside of the state of Michigan, whenever you buy anything from Motor City Guitar, you don't pay any sales tax. And last but certainly not least, you can visit our website at tonewars.com. The link is below. There you will find some awesome Kemper profile packs with the tone and feel guitar players love. You will also find presets for the very popular HELIX, HX Effects, HX Stomp, and Pod Go. Alright, the show's about to begin. We look forward to hanging out with you, so grab your favorite drink and join us in the live chat.
Welcome to Tone Wars.
What's happening, everybody? Thanks for joining us tonight. I got my good friend Jay here with me tonight, and that was one of your originals.
Yes,
What's the
Haunted
name?
Dreams.
Haunted Dreams, baby. Yeah, it's a good song, man. It's freaking killer.
It's even better when it's played right. I will tell you what, I've been on your show, like, I don't know, probably half a dozen times almost now.
Yeah.
And, like, you can play it just like, and then, like, oh, I forgot that chord's there.
Sounded good, though.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you played it right this time, right? Is this the first time you played
That's
it right?
why I made the joke. Because
Yeah, that's a great song, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tonight I figured, well, Jay's always wanted to play this amp, and Matt Force, who's in the chat here, hey Matt, what's up, man? He was kind enough to call me the other night and say, hey, you want to try the small box out on the show? I'm like, yeah, why not? You know, so, and I knew Jay's been wanting to try one, so it was perfect opportunity to invite you over. Yeah, so that's what you heard was channel 2 on the small box, and pushed with the Mud Killer, and on one of Jay's songs. It sounded great. I mean, it sounded great with all your riffs, anyways. I mean, yeah, we're gonna find out. So you play a lot of alternative and punk type stuff, and then when it comes over to my turn, we're gonna see if it'll do modern metal, and I mean, I'm sure it'll do it, kinda. I mean, we'll find out how well it does it, So in sound checks, I was like, yeah, it's working, So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's an amp that I've always wanted to try because I've always, well, out of all the Friedman amps that I've demoed, at least with the digital platforms, so like Axe-Fx 3, KEMPER, I've always kind of gravitated to the small box model.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've even had the Cantrell amp in the past, but it just sort of gels with me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a chance to play this one live has been cool.
Yeah, and you're hearing it through the aux box. Obviously, that's what's on the screen there. I'll be playing it through maybe both. I'll probably play it through the aux box and the dual record, the Mesa cab. So, but we'll see. Everything's labeled, so you'll see what I'm playing it through. But so why don't you go ahead and let me say hi to everybody real quick. JB 50 Watt, Matt Forrest, Gunnerman 54. Oh, there's Jay Croft. Oh, you're right here. Jason Taylor, what's going on, buddy? Joe Stout, what's going on? And Keith, is it Keith A? Good to see a left-handed player do his thing. Awesome. And thanks for being here. And everybody that we haven't seen in the chat, welcome to the stream as well. So why don't you go ahead and play some riffs on it? Do you want to play your riffs through the aux box or the real cab? Which would you prefer?
We can do the real cab if you want to give that a try. I know we just heard the whole song with the aux, so we can kind of give it...
Yeah, all right, we can do that. So let me switch to that, and I will mute the room mic 1 second here. We're having feedback issues tonight, so sorry about any of the squeaks that you hear. But, like I was telling you during sound check, this amp fits your playing really well, actually. And it really does. It's a testament to the riffs paired with the proper amp. It just makes the amp sound better. You know what I mean? It's like, I think tone is all about application as well. Like, you can have this awesome tone, but then you play your riffs on it, and it may or may not sound as good, you know, when you play your stuff on it, because it just doesn't fit with. It's almost like I use the car analogy all the time. You can't take a Formula One race car out on the out in the trails; it'll get stuck. You know.
Yeah.
So it's all about the riffs you play, you know, and it's fitting what you're doing really well.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff where, you know, I'm palm muting 1 minute and then I'm opening chords up and doing a lot of things underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And I need an amp that's going to be articulate with all those,
Yeah.
with all that stuff. But when I open up those chords and I start doing what I kind of call my warm chords, you know,
Yeah.
I want to be able to hear all the notes underneath it. So
Yeah.
if it's too aggressive, if it's too much hair on it, then all of those little notes gets lost.
Okay.
But if it doesn't have enough aggression, then when I go back to doing my, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be rounded,
Yeah.
and it's not going to have the cut that I need. So when
Yeah.
I'm playing, I can hear.
Gotcha. So you're looking for something that kind of suits all of that stuff. No matter what gear you're in, it's responsive and sounds good. I get it, because sometimes when you're doing those open chords, you don't want all your strings, all the notes of them, to be glued together with all this. I don't know what you want to call it, but I wouldn't call it gain, but maybe aggression or something. You want that you want to be able to hear the individual strings ringing out. So it really depends on the riffs that you play. You know, there's been many times I watch people, you know, play a certain amp, and then I'll go try it out myself. Be like, oh my God, that amp was killer. There it is. There's the sound, you know, I've been looking for. Then I plug into it, and I'm like, holy crap, this does not work at all for me, because my riffs don't work with it. You know, I'm the trail that the Formula One car just gets stuck on, apparently. You know.
Yeah, it really is just kind of knowing what you need to get out of it.
Yeah.
And you know, we did a little bit of tweaking on it earlier. You know, on this amp, you know, and I find I have a Cherry Tone Silver Jubilee model.
That's right.
Yeah, and that amp is not too dissimilar
from this.
in how you dial it in.
Gotcha.
It is not the same. I'm not saying that, but
I think this is a little more compressed, right? Would you say that? Or?
It kind of feels that way. I mean, you know, the one thing with this one is like the presence. We definitely had to back that down a bit because it just started bringing out frequencies that were getting kind of harsh. You know, we backed the treble down. The treble's almost at noon. I think, we got the mids. We took the mids down, and that helped. It just, if you let this amp run too bright, it's gonna get plingy sound. I don't know the right word, but the top end isn't so much aggressive as it is harsh, and it just gets too much. You know?
Well, it's that typical Marshall thing. You know, you got to be careful where you turn the knobs, because they can get out of hand. You know, but it's where we have it dialed in. So we have the bass at. I'll just give you, you know, a clock. I'll give you those. So bass is at about just past 3 o'clock. Mids are at 11 o'clock. Treble's right in the middle at noon. And the gain is at dead nuts 3 o'clock. So, and the bright switch is all the way to the left. So that's where we're at with it, and the settings are working for what you're doing. You know, different guitar, different pickups than what I'm using. But the thing is when we switch over to me, I'm not really seeing a need to change anything. I mean, I'm just kind of keeping the same. I might want it a little brighter for what I got going on. I think your pickups might be a little brighter than mine. I don't know, but I might nudge the highs just a little bit. But I don't think it sounds dark. It sounds about how it should, you know. So, Scott Fulmar, thanks so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. He says, late coming, but thank you for putting on the Guitar Summit. I learned so much, and it was great to meet you and Carrie. Oh, thanks, man, and it was great to meet you as well. I'm glad that we had a chance to hang out on the deck and have a big old sickie, you know, and have some good food.
I'm looking forward to having one of those after the show.
Yeah, we're going to the cigar bar after this, and we're gonna smoke it up, aren't we? That's
Yes,
gonna be fun, man. I can't wait. Again, Scott, thank you so much. JB51 says, hey, I remember asking this before, but have you ever tried the Friedman Buxom Boost yet? That definitely is my favorite boost pedal I play with. I think I have, but it's been a while. Maybe I need to revisit that, but thanks for the heads up. Maybe I will do that. Let's see here. Mo Guitar says most gain is the Friedman Butter Slacks. Yeah, I've heard good things about that amp. I'll have to see if I can. I know Motor City's a dealer, so if they get one in, I'll definitely try one out. Why not?
Yeah, that's the amp that's made for the dude from Mastodon. I believe.
Yeah, Bill Kelleher or something. Yeah. CM079 says shrill. I'm running into the same issue with my new Mesa Mark 525, wondering if it's headroom issue or the master volume is not high at all. I would say you want to be careful on the faders in the EQ on that amplifier. I have it right here, and if you max out the 6K, I believe that's what it is. Yeah, 6600, whatever. The farthest to the right fader, if you put that all the way up, you might have some issues. I pull mine down a hair, and I have my treble just over noon, and my presence is at 11 o'clock on that amp. So try that out and see if that works for you, because that could definitely be an issue. You got to be careful with that amp because those faders for that EQ are really powerful. So every little move you make with those means a lot. So give that a try. And I got mine set up, in my opinion, to what I think, for me anyways, is perfect. Again, presence at 11 o'clock, treble just over noon, and I got the highest fader down probably about 1/8 of an inch below that line that wraps around, that yellow line. So give that a try. Okay, so you want to play some more riffs?
Yeah,
and
so
stuff?
I'm going to do some like 80s thrash riffs,
okay.
and then I'm going to follow it up with some of my alternative rock riffs just to show the variety. Before I do that, though, I need to turn my head around because like Lincoln Hawks, since we're going back to the 80s for a few minutes, I feel like when I turn my head around, I'm not so much a guy playing a guitar anymore. I'm more like a machine.
Like a machine. Like a machine.
Well, put in the chat if you know where that reference comes from.
Yeah, put it in the chat. All right, man. All right, Hawks. 1 second here. Dude, that was quite a plethora of riffs there.
I can turn my hat back around again.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not Lincoln anymore.
You're not Lincoln anymore.
Yeah, it's just like off the top of my head, just playing what I would play at home, which is I'll usually warm up playing a bunch of, 80s metal riffs or whatever, like Kill 'Em All stuff, like, era Metallica and old school Megadeth stuff. And I'm a rhythm guy, I'm not a lead guy. So for me, like, I got to feel like I can, if an amp's going to work for me, it's an amp that I'm going to be able to play both of those type of things. Be able to play, the aggressive, thrash stuff if I want to, punk rock stuff, and then turn around and do stuff that's, a little bit more chordy and has more stuff going on underneath it. Gotcha. And this, I won't say that like I've completely gelled with it yet, but I'm definitely feeling comfortable playing it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like I guess I'll just say this really quick, because like during sound check we talked about how it felt, and it's a bit unforgiving depending on what you're trying to do. Yeah, this amp could be a bit unforgiving. It's a little on the stiff side, and none of that what we're saying is derogatory. It's not like, oh, it's I'm just saying like it's a little bit on the forgiving side. And Dave always says too, like, we don't have that note hiding technology in our amps. I mean, it brings out everything, good or bad. It's like a warts and all guitar sound. So. What I was telling you too, like during warm-ups and stuff, I was like, dude, my both hands, especially for some reason, my left hand, my fretting hand, was exhausted after playing 2 mixes. I was like exhausted. I'm like, man, and I just felt like I had to dig in and play harder, at least for my style of playing, because I'm playing leads and all kinds of stuff. I just felt like I really had to motivate this amp to do what I wanted it to do more than what I'm used to anyways,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you really got to be on your game. And
you do.
Like, I can already tell, just being honest, totally transparent, I got a little bit of nerves going. So, when I'm playing, I'm not as relaxed as I am when I'm at home, but I feel comfortable. But this amp, like, it lets you know.
It does.
Like, hey, it's kind of like when you sit down and you start practicing at home, and the first 5 minutes you sound horrible.
Yeah.
And then then
you
get to like that 20 minutes, you start warming up, you start feeling pretty good,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this amp like keeps you in check, and it's almost like that first 5 minutes of practice, like, it never like gets any easier.
I know. It stays that way, and that's what I was telling you too. I was like, remember when you're playing baseball and you grab the 3 bats when you're on deck and you're swinging them to warm up? That's kind of what this amp feels like. It's like the heavy bat, and I think if I was to use this amp, it would be a great backstage amp for me. It would be my heavy bat, so that when I when I get on stage to the amp that really just kind of just does it, and does all the stuff, and I don't have to play so hard and dig in, it would feel like effortless, play. I'd be like, oh yeah, there's my harmonics, there's my sustain, and there's my like aggression that I can almost kind of sit back a little and let the amp do some of the work. It shares the load with you. But if you're more of a reactive player that really likes to dig in and get that response from the amp and have something really reward you for when you do play harder. I mean, the Friedmans definitely do that, it seems. At least this one, I really noticed that with this one again, because man, both hands were just. I'm not usually tired after doing 2 songs, but man, my left hand was like, I had to massage my hand and my arm. I'm like, dude, I'm like freaking, really digging in here, and it's actually kind of fun though. It's a fun challenge for me.
Is.
So when it's my turn to play tonight, I hope I could do it.
I got one more thing I wanted to try on this.
Yeah, do it.
It's just it's a punk rock tune that I wrote quite a while ago, but I think this amp, I'm curious to see how it feels with it.
Yeah, let me mute the mic. Nice, man.
It's fun. It's fun once you get it going.
Yeah.
You can start to feel it. You know,
Yeah.
you get the you
All
can
that-
feel the. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
fast picking. Yeah.
but it's not like. It's definitely like it's trying to keep it together.
It
like,
makes you work, man.
Yeah, playing the stealth. I have the stealth 50 watt.
Yeah.
And I've got the Rev generate the
Mark II.
Mark II.
Right, yeah.
and both of those are like my. That's what I usually play. That
Yeah,
like
for
that
that
kind
kind
of
of
punk
stuff.
rock stuff with, and this it can do it,
Yeah.
but you gotta be like
You got to push
it's-
it, man. You got to motivate this amp, and it
Yeah.
motivates you at the same time. Again, I think it's really for those guys that like that reactive kind of dynamics, where I have a different kind of dynamics when I play. Mine's more of like I don't go harder, when I'm picking and stuff. I pretty much maintain that through the whole thing. Mine is more I go heavier or faster with like solos. Like those are my dynamics. I'll play like big heavy riffs and crushing, pounding chugs and stuff like that. And mine's more of a type of riffs that I play dynamics or shredding or whatever, as opposed to I play harder or softer and I get the amp to respond. So I totally get why people do that. It's just not my style of playing or music. But if you do like that, this amp really does really give you that back and forth volley, if that's what you're looking for.
I shred awesome too. Really, like I'm amazing at it, and I found the one trick. I hope if you're paying attention, the one trick. I turn the volume down because I can't shred
So
at
no
all.
one can hear it.
Yeah. So I am interested to hear what your songs sound like.
Yeah,
with
me
this.
too. I mean, we just did a quick sound check, and I'm interested to see if this thing's got the stuff, for because my music's pretty heavy, and I like something that just crushes, So you guys know I love the Savage and the Driftwood and the EVH Stealth. I mean, those amps are just crushing. It's just madness coming out of those. And I wield them where I feel like, again, with the
Feel like a
Friedman,
machine.
let me turn my head around. I feel like with the Friedman, I'm going to really have to work it hard to get what I want out of it. It's a tough crowd. It's a tough crowd with the Friedman, So did you already
I'm
do
good.
all your stuff? You
Yeah,
wanna
I think
switch
so.
over?
I think we're good.
All right, so we'll switch over to me now. And by the way, we will be on until probably 10 after 9 tonight, because we have an appointment with a big fat cigar in a cigar lounge. So it's going to be a fun night for
Stogie
that.
City.
Yeah, and tonight's the biggest bar night of the year, so we want to get out there before all the nuts get out there. Oh, the crazies! Get home safe.
I turned it off too, by the way.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, so now it's my turn to see what this thing's got. I'm going to start out with my typical mixes just to give you guys like an idea of what this thing's got. It's stuff we're all familiar with here. Let me mute the mic and get her going. Well, so far, it's doing it. So let me. I'm gonna do something pretty challenging here, for me, anyways. And
Too
I
much gain.
too much gain.
Too much gain.
Yeah.
Too much. It's too much, dude. I think we've all tried to tell you over and over.
I'm using the same gain you did.
Too much gain. Must be your guitar.
Yeah, it must be my guitar. I have a gain guitar. Yeah, my guitar adds gain. All right, so let's try this one. This is going to be interesting. I want to see if it'll work for this. This is the one that wore my hand out last time. My left hand was like,
Oh,
done.
no.
Oh, no. Here we go. Well, I actually feel fine.
Yeah, all the stuff you're doing up here, all the different notes you're playing, it really was coming out well.
Yeah.
Like you could hear all those notes really well, which is where I do think for this song it worked out well.
Yeah.
I
remember you said that in sound check too.
Yeah.
You were like, "Yeah, that kind of matches that song really well." So
yeah, it's a good one.
yeah, I was surprised. Like I'm not as tired playing. Maybe it's the adrenaline. I don't know, but I felt
Me.
It's
Probably because I'm here.
Yeah, so like I felt pretty supported, and I definitely had to dig in, but it was it was kind of fun to dig in and have a little fun with the whole dynamic volley thing with the amplifier. It was interesting. I went into rhythm mode almost because Carrie and I just played that same song the other night, but the version where she sings it, and I go into rhythm after the solo. I was like, oh crap, I'm supposed to play a solo here. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. It's what I like about this amp too is the top end's thick. Mm-hmm. It's got a thicker kind of top end to it, which is kind of nice. I might have to shoot this out with something, maybe the Splon. Right? I mean, the Nitro would be cool because they're both kind of like that Marshall platform modded thing. I can't think of what else. Maybe the Mezza?
I think the probably the crunch channel of the Badlander would be interesting.
Okay.
And probably the green channel of the Rev would be interesting
Oh yeah,
too.
the green channel, the Rev. Didn't even think of that.
And it's just, because the crunch channel of the Mesa of the Badlander, I use it for a lot of things. I just push it hard with the overdrive, and I'm able to get some of that Marshall stuff, but without some of the harshness sometimes you get with the top end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I might have to try that. So now let's do Out of Nowhere. That's more one of my heavier kind of modern metal / a little on the djenty side kind of thing. Let's see what it does in a mix like that. 1 second. Okay, so there was a bit of a challenge. My hand's hurting a little bit on that one. There was a bit of a challenge in a couple spots on that solo. When I'm doing this whole thing, like I need an amp that just, it kind of meets me halfway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where when I'm doing stuff like this, because something I always say, like you can either go hard or fast, and there's a couple freaks out there that can do both on the guitar, but I'm not one of them. So I can't pound on the fretboard that hard to get that response out of the amp that I get out of my other amps. I don't know if it's gain. I don't know if it's just the way the amp's designed. There's so many variables, but all I'm saying is when I was doing this, I felt the notes just kind of like fading out and not pinging off the fretboard the way I needed them to. But again, it comes down to your playing style. What kind of style do you play? What kind of music do you play? What riffs do you play? How do you play them? Are you a light picker, a heavy picker? can you do that thing where you're doing stuff like this? And do you even do this? If you don't, then who cares? I do.
Not me.
So it matters to me, you know.
I don't do that.
But it did reward me on the things that other things that I was doing. So it just comes down to, you know, application, you know, and it's I still enjoyed playing it through that, you know, that song.
You sounded good playing it. I mean, I know it's not an amp that you would typically choose to pull off the shelf and start playing, but there was some comments about the dynamics, you know, coming through really well for you tonight, which is cool. And a couple of the things I was in the chat a little bit while you were playing. So CM079 was the one that got it right.
He got the reference,
He got the reference. And Jarrod said whoever gets that reference right today is going to get an amp of his choosing off the shelf.
Yeah, just stop by and
But the only kicker is he's just going to take a picture of it and send it to you.
Exactly.
But,
you just get the picture.
A couple other things, too. You know, I had made reference to the Badlander, and Gunnerman had asked, you know, if I felt that the Friedman, or that the Badlander had more gain than the Friedman.
That's a good question.
In my opinion, it does, and there's a couple of reasons. On the Badlander, you've got that crush channel, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more saturated.
The one I use, yeah.
The other thing, too, is they haven't heard this amp without the boost yet.
Oh, I can turn it off.
And I think it would be interesting, do a little experiment, have you play the kind of stuff you play. Just do like not even a mix. Just do a couple riffs that you would play without the boost on, so they can hear the difference of the gain that this amp has on tap without the boost.
Sure.
And then I'll do the same thing.
Okay, so what I'll do is I could do you know, that standard one, that one I always open the show with. I'll do that without the boost. And show you what that sounds like, and
because I think it'll be interesting, because right now, I mean, we're pushing this amp to get as much as we can out of it for what works for both of us.
You really have to piss this thing off and tell it like 10 your mama jokes before it is upset enough to do what you want it to do, you know.
And we're not, you know, we are not able to turn the Badlander on and do an AB tonight.
No, it's not.
But I guarantee you, like, if you follow up with this amp and you do it without a boost, you'll hear the gain on tap on the Badlander even without a boost. It's
probably a little more.
Is more.
I think it's a little more aggressive too. I mean, this amp's, you know, this amp isn't, it's not coming off like an aggressive amp. It's just got a decent tone. The top end of it's got that thickness to it that's actually pretty cool depending on the style of music you play. I think it sounds better when you play it than when I do. Because I think it fits your riffs better than it fits mine, but it is working. You know, it is working. It is doing, you know, the thing.
To me, it's more of a rock and roll amp.
Yeah, it's
a really good rock and roll amp.
Yeah,
it's not a. To me, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask somebody at the store, you know, if this is at a store, and you know, your basement kind of is like a store, right? Like a really awesome store, right? And you said, yeah, you know, I'm looking to play some, you know. I'm looking to play some old school Metallica riffs and some rock stuff and some classic rock stuff. You know, I would say, yeah, this one will work for you. But if you're like, hey, I'm doing some prog metal or some, you know, metal stuff. I mean, you're gonna come on.
You're gonna go for the EVH or the Driftwood or Rev or whatever. Yeah, because you don't really. I mean, every amp works great and fits what you're doing for the most part, until you play one that really does. And then when you A-B them, that's when you're like, oh, God, there's all that texture, you know? And then you go back to the other amp that you almost bought, and you're like, yep, I was right. I'm going to go with the one that has more of what it is that you're looking for. So there's no such thing as a best amp. It's just best amp.
Yeah.
It works best for you. So pedals off, the mud killer's off, so I'm going to play a couple riffs, and I'll do a mix and see what it sounds like without it. so I have a noise gate on here, and without the overdrive, you notice it was cutting out when I was doing some of this stuff. So
I think you're mad. I think you're mad at me for suggesting that. You're like, sure, I'm gonna blow smoke in his face.
That was a struggle. It was a bit
I think it's interesting. I think because
everybody always wants to hear it without the overdrive on there, and I get it, but to me it's like, why would you play it without it?
So I'll show a couple riffs with it, and it may or may not work. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, here you go. We have, let's see what time it is here. 56. We got about 15 minutes and we'll be done.
Cool.
Okay, let me mute the mic. Now, just pick a riff that you do all the time, and I'll turn the pedal on and off for you, and then you tell me if you notice a difference and what you noticed. So this means on, that means off. Okay, so just for the viewers. What'd you notice?
Oh, it's
way better.
Well, in the room, it definitely has more hair underneath it, and I feel like I don't have to hit it as hard to get it to distort a little bit more.
Yeah.
But in a mix with some of those riffs, you can tell that if you were to have it boosted like that, I mean, as much as we're boosting it, I don't know, but you build up 4-5 guitar tracks doing that, and you're gonna have a bumblebee in your ear if you do too much. I think with the leads that you do, it's not like you're layering like 4 leads at one time with all that boost.
Plus, I need that sustain.
Right.
That's one thing I can't stand is you hear these freaking stupid purists. They don't need an overdrive, and then they play their leads and their notes are just dying on their neck. They're just dying young, and it's just like, yeah, you do, bro. I mean, I hear your notes dying a horrible death every time you play something, and you're holding it out and you're doing the vibrato and everything, and your notes just fizzling out. And it's like, you need a freaking overdrive. Talent doesn't make notes ring. Overdrive pedals do, and a little bit of gain does too. You know what I mean?
You definitely need it for the sustain that you need to get out of those things. I could have, and that's what I was trying to show, like naked, like without the boost, what the gain on tap sounds like, because we're at like what?
3 o'clock.
I mean, we're
3 o'clock on the gain.
This is gain 1. This is gain 2. We're at gain 2, right?
Yep. So just past 3 o'clock, just a hair.
I mean, if we were to go all the way down, it doesn't really get more crunchy or more aggressive. It just gets a little fuzzier. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. We're kind of at that point of you go any further and you're really not getting anything more out of it.
I thought that when you had the overdrive pedal on, your notes jumped off
Oh,
better.
yeah.
They had that nice bite to them. And I know for a fact, by playing it myself, it felt better. It felt more responsive. I could back down on the gas a little bit and let the amp kind of help me a little bit. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're getting more dynamics without the gain or without the overdrive pedal. You're just getting a lower level of interaction with the amplifier. So you're still getting the same amount of dynamics, but you're down here now. Whereas when you have the overdrive on, same amount of dynamics, but now you're kind of at this different gear with the amplifier. So
I just think it's important that I think we did that experiment because there are players out there that prefer not to throw a boost in front of their amp.
yeah, and it depends on your style of music.
Yeah, if you're looking to pick this amp up, I think it's good to know what you're getting without throwing the boost in front of it, as opposed to, I don't know, a stealth where you really, I guess you could argue whether or not you really need it, but I think the boost with the stealth really is more of a tone shaping tool, and it just gives you that extra little aggression, but it's not like you're adding more gain to it. Whereas this thing, I feel like to do what we were doing tonight, you kind of have to push it more to get the stuff, to get out of it what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, people are mentioning the vintage 30s sounded fantastic, and with greenbacks mixed with vintage 30s would be great for this amp. And that's kind of like the thing, that era of music was all about the greenbacks.
I could hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, so this would probably be really great with the greenbacks, because the greenbacks do have a little bit of that extra bite to them. So because this amp is a little smoother on the top end, maybe it would pair well. Because that really what it comes down to as well. It's all about the riffs you play with the amp that are fitting to that type of tone that you're getting, but also the speakers. I mean, you plug this amp into a cab with speakers that just don't project the frequencies properly. A lot of people blame the amp, the amp's no. It's dude, wrong speakers. It's made for these type of speakers. I think vintage 30s are good overall speakers to use, but there are other ones out there, what was it that mentioned that Hyperbole kid? He said, the greenbacks would be a good pair with this. So yeah, I totally get that. Let me see. Let's do the ultimate nasty song, Night Terrors, with this and see if it'll do that, and then we'll hang out for a few more minutes and then call it a night.
Do you want a hat to turn backwards?
Oh no. I don't think it's going to help me anyways. So let's see how this sounds with my nastiest song, which is Night Terrors. And, I sound checked with it, and it did pretty good, So I'm going to use the overdrive because, that's just the way it is. But
way it is.
It's the way because it's like that.
I'm using an overdrive because
that's the way it is.
Because that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's right. Because I paid for it. All right, here we go. I'm hurting, dude.
There was some good texture in those
Dude, I got
those rhythms.
I got a pump in my freaking forearm right now. It's a pump. If you know what I'm talking about when you work out, I'm feeling it. Like my forearm is like worked right now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but look at that.
I feel like a machine.
This forearm is bigger than this one. Holy, seriously, I worked on that song. This amp really made me work, man.
You definitely could hear the digging in.
Yeah.
And you know the like you could hear like all the gristle and all the texture behind it.
Yeah.
You know, like you were having to.
Oh yeah, I was pounding on my guitar like it, and he's got like I'm listening through the mix, and the amp, the mic'd up amp in the in-ears. He's just listening to just the amp in the room, so you're hearing like everything raw,
pure,
you know, it's
raw,
raw,
pure raw tone. Get out of here!
Get out of here!
Get out of here with your mixes! I just want the amp.
I have a huge pump here on my arm. We should go to the bar now. I can walk around with my pump and pick up chicks.
Give me the cigars.
Look at my huge pump, ladies. It's how huge it is. Yeah, I'm seriously like I feel like I just did a set of curls with this arm right now. It's just freaking it's ridiculous how tight it is. Yeah, this amp, if you're playing like the stuff, at least the style of music I play, you're going to have to really work it to get what you want out of it. And it's kind of cool, though, in a way. It's like a nice challenge.
Yeah. Well, you got some comments here. So
Uh-oh.
CM079 may not be your thing, Jarrod, but sounds good in the mix. Kind of surprised.
Thank you. Yeah, I am too.
Hyperbole Kid, love this track and have to say that the small box helps make your playing more articulate. Very nice. Don't know if you had to dig in more, but nicely done.
Thank you.
Gave
I did.
a nice Lynch tone.
Thank you. I worked hard for that. I'm serious. I play a lot lately, especially, and I work out. I mean, I'm not some little, wimp, and I'm serious. Yeah. That's a relative term.
Jason Taylor, Jay said it. You could hear the digging into the notes, and they sounded great, even if it pumped up your forearms. Like a balloon.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm serious. Like, my arm is still throbbing right now. I mean, yeah, you're definitely going to work hard with this amp. And, the thing is, though, in fairness, like, if you play it enough, you'll work up to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you'll get used to it. But, yeah, it's so if you really like that really reactive, responsive kind of back and forth with an amplifier, I don't think I've ever played an amp more that pulled more out of me. I should say I'd never played an amp that pulled more out of me than this one. Now, depending on what you like, that could be a good or a bad thing. I mean, honestly, if I was in a store and I had this on the shelf, and let's pretend I'm in the store right now, like the rack of amps and stuff. I guarantee you, if I flipped on the EVH Stealth or the Driftwood or the Savage, my hands would be telling me get one of those, because I feel like those amps would be more responsive for the style of music that I play. But it doesn't mean that they're better amps. It just means that they might be more suitable for me. But there'll always be that thing in the back of my mind that's just like, I wonder if I could have ever worked my way into the Friedman and got the rewards that the Friedman would have given me had I put in the work and broke past that the pain barrier or whatever. Because I'm telling you guys, like, I play my mixes almost every day now, and I know what these amps respond like, and this is the first time when I got done playing a mix that my arm felt like that.
There's other amps that you've played that don't have as much aggression. You've boosted them, but even then it still doesn't feel right. This one, for me, at least I can't tell how you feel, but I can tell how you sound, and what I hear, especially in the rhythm sections, is a lot of texture. Mm-hmm. You can tell that you're pushing yourself to really get.
You can hear
the digging in, and I think someone said it earlier, like the dynamics.
Yeah.
It really brings out the dynamics in your playing more.
Yeah.
So if you're a light player, you might have to play a little bit harder to get out of it what you're used to getting out of a Stealth or another amp that's got a lot more natural gain on tap without.
Yeah. And I think that is what they talk about when they say, well, with these amps you hear more of the guitar player, and with these amps you hear more of the amp. And with the Friedman, I think you're hearing more of the player, because you're hearing me, and I'm serious. I mean, you're hearing me like really beat the piss out of my guitar tonight to get what I need out of it, and I'm working this thing hard, and maybe that's what they mean by you hear the player more. You're hearing the dynamics. You're hearing someone really just dig in and just lay waste to his guitar, as opposed to like the Savage. I mean, I don't have to do that. I mean, the amp is kind of like, it's like a joint venture when you're playing that. It's like it's doing some of the work for you, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. So I guess it really comes down to personal choice. Which one would you rather play?
I pick a little bit harder, than I did, years ago. I wouldn't say I'm like a very hard picker, but I'm probably,
probably in the middle.
Yeah. So I definitely wouldn't call myself a light picker. So for me, like playing through this amp, I've played through a lot of Marshall type amps before, so I kind of knew what to expect. It's just how different is it from other similar amps that I've played. I enjoyed playing it.
It's like a boot camp for my arms.
It's like they say, like if you really want to get good at guitar, like play acoustic, right? Because there's
so
no
hard.
It doesn't hide anything, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is almost like, well, if you don't want to play an
Next
acoustic,
step.
you still want to play electric, but you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, then, this is an option.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for the most part, this amp, I mean, I think it did the trick tonight. It just depends, again, like on how hard do you want to work. We'll be on for another minute or two, and then we got to get out of here. But, I would say, the Splon was definitely easier to play for me than the Friedman. And again, this doesn't, I'm not saying anything bad. These aren't negative comments. It's just things that I noticed. But there's this part of me now where I'm like, I'm kind of want to see if I can meet the challenge, playing this amplifier like this, because I've never had an amp kick my ass like this one did.
Well, JB 50 Watt had a really good question in here.
Oh,
And
cool.
he said, is there another amp you own that makes you work harder like that? And I'll go first on this. I don't have another amp. I mean, I have an orange Rockreverb 50 Watt that has more gain on tap, but it gets to a point where with an orange it starts to get fuzzier the more gain you put in.
Yeah.
So to keep it articulate, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder than like on the EVH. But I would say like a Fryette, or something like that. Any kind of a dry type amp like that, where the saturation, like without a boost, is not all there. There's not a plethora of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a similar thing. I think any sort of a Marshall style British type amp like this. I mean, I've got that Jubilee. That's got more gain on tap than this thing does. That thing, and it's 100 watts too. I don't own another amp that makes you work this hard.
Yeah, I don't either. Honestly, this is the hardest. This is the hardest. And look what I have, and look how many amps I've demoed on this show, and I've never had an amp kick my ass like the Friedman small box has. Honestly. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's actually kind of interesting. I'm starting to question everything right now. Man, I'm trying to think of what I have that would even be close. I don't. So the Driftwood Purple Nightmare is a drier amp, but it's definitely something that's it's definitely more responsive. So yeah, this would be it. This would be the amp that I can't really put anything else in the same league with it that I have or have ever played, as far as that goes. I mean, and I'm not even saying it's sluggish. I'm not saying that it's unresponsive. It's just more dynamic.
Yeah,
That's what I would put it.
It's not a saggy
No, it's pretty stiff.
It is. It is. That's why I think if you're talking about how it, I wouldn't say tone wise how it sounds, but how it feels.
Yeah.
It was probably to me would feel closer to maybe a Fryette ultra lead, like, or deliverance or something
Yeah.
like that, with the gain turned down a little bit, because those
Probably
amps
like a
do
Deliverance.
have, those amps do have some gain on tap, but they are a little stiffer feeling.
Yeah, I
So-
remember playing the Fryette
Sig
Pitbull.
X too, you played?
Yeah, I played the Sig X, but it wasn't like this. It was more responsive. The Pitbull was a really dry. It was a module though. It wasn't the amp. It was the Synergy module. And I remember playing that. I was like, oh my god, I got to really be on my game with this
Yeah.
amp. I mean, you can't miss anything. You know, that amp does not meet you halfway at all. I mean, it makes you come all the way. And I would say this is very close to that, but a little more forgiving because it's not as dry. You know, so. But yeah, but I still, I don't know. I still didn't get that workout, you know, with that. But
Right.
but then again, it was a module, wasn't the real amp, so I don't really know. There is a difference, but yeah. So anyways, this is pretty cool amp. I was Matt. Thanks so much for letting me take this home. I mean, I literally have enjoyed getting to know this thing, and I will be playing this some more and doing some shootouts with it because it's been interesting.
Yeah, thanks on my end too, because I told Jarrod, man, I always like to play, like, I've always played the models of the small box, and I've always enjoyed that Friedman model more than the other ones, and
Yeah.
I dig it. I think they sound pretty good. Well, getting a chance to play it in person was
The real thing
was
yeah.
nice. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really fun, dude. And I enjoyed your song. So if you guys joined us late, go back to the beginning. We kicked off the show with Jay's song, and I always love hearing him play that. It was really fun to hear again. It's a great tune.
It's been a while since I've played all the way through it like that. So I'm like, he asked me if I wanted to play it the other day. I'm like, I need to go back and remember some of
relearn it.
those. Some of the arrangements. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, well, hey, guys, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Sorry it's a little shorter than usual, but we got, I'm sure you guys got plans tonight too. So, but and because of what night it is and everything, very, very glad you guys spent your time with us tonight. Really appreciate that, and thankful for everybody here, and definitely look for some more videos coming up soon with the Friedman small box shootouts and stuff. I think that'll be fun. And thanks to you, Jay, for coming and sharing your riffs and your time with us. I really appreciate that. It's always good to have my friends on because it lightens the load for me a little bit, and it gives you guys something, some variety. So, and thanks for the super chats and thanks to everyone for all the support for the channel, and happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. I hope you guys all have a great day tomorrow and have fun with your families. You guys are like family to me, and I really appreciate you being here. And like I always say, every day's a gift, and thank you so much for spending part of yours with us. Really appreciate that. God bless you guys. Love you all, and I will see you guys very soon. You guys all take care and be safe out there. Have a good night.
Happy Thanksgiving.